Hello and welcome back to my channel. We're on to part 2 of this colour along buddy colour, and I'm going to be doing the stem and leaves today. So I'm starting here with Prussian Green Prismacolor 109, and I'm sort of trying to block in the areas that I feel will be in shadow or cast shadow, because this is my darkest colour of the greens, and I'm detailing going over the lines that the artist has drawn, because those are usually there to signify some kind of texture in the picture. And other than going over the lines, I'm using a fairly light pressure on the pencil. In case you're wondering what this little pink thing is, it's a pencil extender. I have 2 of them, and they have a little sharpener on the end, and they're quite easy because you just click the pencil into them. I got them at my local art store, and I can't remember who makes them. So I'm also going around the edges and just then doing a bit of a light, moving the color inwards. So that's how this goes. Last night I went to watch a dress rehearsal of one of my pupils, and it was so interesting in COVID. It's the first time I've actually been to any theatre thing, and I know they've been careful with any theatre thing to limit, well, in our country at any rate, to limit how many people can watch. And this is in a big school hall that actually seats 700 people, and they're only allowing 50, and it was set out so nicely. Almost felt like dinner theatre with little seats, 2 people together, so they're seating you in kind of family bubbles so that you're not exposed to people that are outside your circle. Obviously everyone has to wear masks and everything, and then sort of a meter apart the next 2 seats are, and then they were sort of arranged diagonally is wrong, but not directly in front or behind one another, so that you wouldn't be breathing in other people's air, as it were. So I thought it was very clever. I so enjoyed going out. I really miss theatre, and having been such a large part of my life for so many years, and with teaching and producing school shows and things like that, I felt like I have a new lease on life this morning after watching it. So now that little circle there is the coil of vine that's behind this one you can see. So I want to darken that, and I'm looking for a dark color. I think I eventually found sepia and went over it with that. So this is sepia, and I just wanted the dark color because when something is behind or backward, it often looks darker and more dull. So I wanted the Prussian green color to sort of be there as well, as I don't want a different color, but I went over it a little bit with the sepia just to give it some depth. Excuse me. And I'm going to speed this next little bit of video up because I'm doing the same kind of thing all the way around the vine, and it's easier to just watch it going quickly. I'm not sure how many of you, I'm sure probably most of you have got these tiny little bits of stubs of pencil, and I'm just determined to use them up to their very last little bit. But the problem comes when you try to sharpen them. It's really hard to get the sharpener to turn around. All right, so now I'm on to my next color, which is apple green PC 912. And I am moving from the color that I had down from the Prussian green. I'm moving up with that, and this apple green is really my main color. So I'm going over the whole stem, but leaving little bits still white. That will be the highlight. That's one of my favorite ways to work. is to do it like that and then use a highlight color, or sometimes just leave it white and blend over with a white pencil. I'm really enjoying coloring this image. I think it's so cute. I find that my brain gets confused because I do a lot of things aimed towards the United States and the UK, because the large number of people that watch my videos tend to come from those countries, a few from South Africa. So us in South Africa, we're in the southern hemisphere, so while you're going into autumn, fall, we're going into spring, and I get kind of like muddled in my head sometimes and wonder where on earth I am in the year, because everything I'm doing is aimed at a different season to where I actually am. So I think I must do a spring picture soon, just on my own. I won't do it as a color along, just to enjoy the weather that we're getting. At the moment, our weather is so variable. It's been really, really, really cold, and then all of a sudden yesterday it was quite warm. Today feels quite warm as well. So I suppose what will happen, what often happens in times like this, is that it then goes warm and you think you're spring and you're getting all the lovely flowers and everything, and then next thing you know, there's snow on the mountains again and it's freezing cold. My hubby planted some lovely sweet peas for me, which is bringing such joy to my heart. I absolutely love sweet peas, and they're all starting to flower now. And they have this lovely scent. He's planted them especially under the window. I color in at a desk in the one room, and they're under the window at that desk. And so I get that glorious sweet scent coming in while I'm coloring, which is just awesome. So I'm trying to, it was my thought to kind of leave the top of this circle pale, because I felt that the sun would probably catch that there, and that's why that would be a highlight. And I added a bit of sepia to the other part of the vine that's underneath. Now I'm using my lightest color, which is Chartreuse 989. And I'm going over everything with that with a hard pressure. So as well as coloring it in, I'm using it almost as a kind of blending and burnishing. That's the word I was searching for, or as a kind of a burnishing. I do find with this paper that I'm getting quite a lot of white spots of paper showing through. And that's the truth of the paper. So one has to use quite a hard burnishing kind of pressure to kind of flatten the tooth and get in between the tooth. And then I also decided to use a blending solution. I think I talk about it a bit later, but I'll talk about it again now. You get various blending solutions for pencils, which I'm sure you all know about. I use 3 different kinds of solvent type blenders. One is Gamsol, which I just have a very small bottle full that my friend Bernie Miller, who passed away earlier this year, gave me. So it lasts a long time. I use that. Then I have something called Zest It, which is made from things in the citrus plants. And then I also use odorless mineral spirits. In this particular image, I'm using Zest It. It is, I know Sandy loves this as well. It's supposed to be non-toxic, but I do find the smell quite strong. I have a bottle of it, and then I have this container that comes with a sponge in it, which you put the solution in it. You can put, there we are, the Zest It. Then you can put your blending stump into that and use it to get rid of the binders and things from the pencils and blend the pigments together. So I'm going over that with the zested, with the blending stump. Well, this is I think in French you would pronounce it tortillon, but tortillion, I'm not quite sure what the correct word for that is. And you can see how the color just sort of seems to become so much more vibrant when you use the blending solution. You can get that same effect by doing layer after layer after layer, but with somewhat painful hands, I find this is a great option. One does need to just take a bit of care if you want the light to stay very light, to not bring from the dark inside. I'm using from the dark in because I wanted to move it a bit more in. So, but if you don't want that, it does make the pigment a little bit more fluid, as it were, while it's wet. So now that's done, and I'm going to do another layer, and it's quite pleasant for me to do it when I've just done the blending, because as that solution is still a bit on there, so the pigment kind of blends and feels so soft and just does what you want it to. And so I did another whole layer just to bring vibrance to the image. And I mean, I find this interesting that this is Amazon paper. This lady, Kameliya Angelkuova, you can see when you go into the details of a book if something is independently published or published under Create Space. They are published through Amazon, so the person hasn't had to spend money that they probably don't have as a struggling artist to get a publisher and everything. So Amazon offers this wonderful facility where you can publish through them, but then they use their paper, so you as the artist don't have a lot of choice. You can choose to use premium color paper, and that is quite nice for markers because it's quite a smooth, shiny paper, but it's not nice for color pencil. So your next option is this that Kameliya has used. And people always moan so much about it being so thin and everything. But if you use tools that are suitable for it, such as pencils with blending solution, you can get great results, the same as you would get with really expensive, fantastic paper. It might be more pleasant to color on the fantastic great paper, but then you probably pay double for the book as well. So, you know, 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, and one has the choice to buy or not to buy. There are companies like Coco Wyo, Jade Summer, just trying to think of others. I'm afraid I can't think of others right now, but I'm sure there are, that both publish independently on Amazon and publish from their website. Oh, another one is Hannah Lynn, where you can go to the website and buy PDF books. So you're not using illegal copy of an artist's work. You're supporting the artist, but you buy a PDF book, and then you can print either just the pages that you want to color or the whole book on the paper of your choice. And for me personally, again, living in South Africa, that's often an ideal choice because I don't have to pay all the huge amounts of postage and customs, etc. So I really like buying PDF books on the one hand. On the other hand, there's nothing quite like having a brand new coloring book held in your hot little hands. It does give me huge pleasure. So this is, again, I have this coloring book. It was in one of my stashes about love languages, and one of the love languages is gifts. And my one grandson is very much that, and I'm also that person. I love getting gifts. So new coloring supplies is always to me like Christmas. So I'm getting rid of the crumbles with my brush, and then I'm going to go on to the next 2 colors, and I'm going to, I'm doing exactly what I did the first time around, and I'm going to speed this up a little bit and put some music on while I do that, and then I finish the rest of the stem off camera, and then I'll come back to you in real time as we color the leaf. So now I've done the first 2 leaves, and because I thought that the video will take too long, and I will do the 3rd one with you exactly the same. The 3 colors that I'm using, sort of not the same colors as the stem. I wanted the leaves to be a little bit more olivey in color. I'm using dark green PC 908, then Kelp Green PC 1090, and then lime peel. Oh, I can't see it. PC 1005. Okay, so that's 908, 1090, and 1005. I'm starting with the darkest color, the dark green, and light pressure going over. I'm sort of imagining the sun's coming down here so that this area will be the lighter side of the stem. So I'm just coloring this. We're going away on holiday, so today is Thursday the, I'm not sure now if it's the 8th or the 9th, and I'm trying to do a whole lot of videos in advance and to upload them for next week when we're going to be away. We're going to the seaside. It's still springtime here now. You're all going into autumn, so I'm kind of coloring autumn, fall colors, but here in South Africa we're going into springtime, and so we're just having a week away. Everything's still very COVID-y, and so I'm not quite sure what we're going to do, but the place we're going to is right on the sea, so we can have walks along the beach and everything. I'm going over these lines with the dark color, and I'm actually just lightly going over the whole of this area. When I color lightly, I tend to hold my pencil further back as it gives less pressure. And so I'm also using more of the whole length of the barrel, the point area, just to cover more. So just very lightly, I'm going to be going over a lot of this with the Kelp Green as well. So it probably looks quite untidy to you, but it's with a reason that I'm doing it like that. I just want to actually make these dark. With heavy pressure, so that they look a bit like indentations. I don't know about you when you go away, but one of my best things about going away is to think what colouring supplies I should take with. I'm not going to be able to film where we are. I might do a quick little upload to just when I'm on a walk to show you what the sea looks like and everything, but I'm not going to actually be able to film myself colouring or anything. I won't have the ability to do that there, and there's not much Wi-Fi where we're going, so it also makes it difficult. My hubby and I just feel like we need a bit of a break in our routine. I think with the whole COVID thing, one tends to get very stuck in a bit of a rut. So we thought it would be good to do that, and it's not far away from where we are. It's only about an hour's drive, which is nice because neither of us enjoys long car journeys anymore. My husband's not a spring chicken either, as am I not. Okay, so there we are. Now I'm using the Kelp Green, can't speak, the Kelp Green, and going over all of that and some of, you can see it's a kind of an army color, this Kelp Green, but I find it quite nice mixing it with, especially with lime peel. Don't know why it may sound like a very strange mixture to you. It's one of my color combinations that I kind of quite enjoy. And I'm going over the whole lot here, so it's kind of a blend. I'm just going out a little bit more. But so we'll have 2 layers, and then I'm going to blend the whole thing with my Zest It. Zest It is a pencil blending solution, and one can use, I have that, and I have Gamsol, and I have odorless mineral spirits, and I use all 3. I do like Zest It because I bought this ages ago, still when you could get it at Amazon.com. Now you can get it from England, from Jackson's Art. But I find in South Africa ordering stuff from England seems to, I don't know, it seems to be easier for me to get things from the United States than from England. I've had quite a few things that haven't been delivered and that said that they had tracking and then they didn't. So one's got to have good tracking, and I think what I really like with Amazon US is that they have some kind of relationship with the couriers that they use, where it's not as expensive as, like, if I bought from Blix, I would pay double what I pay from Amazon for the courier delivery. So anyway, I'm rambling on just to do this, and I'm trying to get it done because I've got a singing pupil arriving any minute, and I actually want this to be done before she gets here so it can upload. Now I'm using lime peel, and I'm going over the edges first, with a heavy pressure, okay, on the edges, really heavy pressure, almost like you're burnishing. And then I'm coming in with a lighter pressure over everything to sort of blend it all together. I suppose it would have made sense for me to maybe use a Copic first layer, but I didn't. Kind of got into the way of colouring. This is Amazon paper, independently published, and yet strangely enough it's actually quite nice to colour on. It has got tooth, so you do get those little white specks, but that's kind of why I like the pencil blend. You could use Vaseline, but I don't find that as successful as the pencil blend is amazing. Whichever kind you use, it dissolves the binders and things that hold the pigment. So this may look very untidy to you, the way I'm colouring this. Oops, sorry. I just need to sharpen this. Oopsie, get rid of some of that stuff. How many of you guys shop at farmers markets or things like that? Do you always go to a big supermarket, or do you buy at farmers markets, or do you buy at a local store? Before COVID, I nearly always went like to a biggish store. Now I find I shop nearer where I live, but unless I'm on holiday in a country area, we don't really have farmers markets. We've got a deli quite close to us, which has got lots of nice organic foods and things. And I do a lot of shopping there, and then otherwise I go to, we call them supermarkets. I don't know what you call them, but where the big shops, like I think you've got Target and Sainsbury's and things like that in the UK. I don't know what your big stores are where you buy groceries in the United States. I'd be quite interested to hear, actually. Do different states have different stores, or do you have like a national chain like Walmart that everybody buys their groceries at? We've got a few national chains here in South Africa. We've got a chain called Checkers, a chain called Pick n Pay. ShopRite Checkers is like one chain. And then there's Spar, which I think is an international chain. And just trying to think what else. Woolworths, which is quite expensive and serves... it's kind of comparable to Waitrose, in it's our Woolworths is the UK's Marks and Spencers, but food-wise, it's sort of, when I was in the UK, I always felt like Waitrose was like what our Woolworths is. So I know that's got nothing to do with colouring, but most of us have to feed ourselves or our families. Okay, so I've done this, and as you can see, it's looking a little bit waxy and everything, but now I'm going to use the pencil blend. You could use a Q-tip or something. I'm using a tortillon or tortillon or whatever you call it, or you can use these the solid ones. I just like this one because it's got a nice little sharp point. And with this particular color mixture I'm specifically going around the edges first because I want to keep that white, and it does tend to dissolve all the binders and then mix the colors a bit, so that's why I'm doing the edges first. I've got my bedroom slippers on and my people's going to arrive, so I should go and put my shoes on quickly. I don't want to greet the poor child in my slippers. Okay, and just along the pale bit there. And then I'm going to use the more solid, oopsie, sorry, my pencils are going everywhere. This is also a tortillon because it's hollow, but it's a more solid one. And I'm going to go, can you see how it dissolves this all so nicely, and all the little white speckles disappear, and it really brings up the pigment. You can, once it's dried, and it dries quickly, you can go over it again with pencil if you want to. You don't have to. You can judge for yourself if you're happy with the result or if anything needs touching up. I'm pressing quite hard, and I'm bringing some of this out into there, so it kind of looks nicely blended. And then I want this pointy one, and one really should put the lid on because it's got quite strong fumes. The zest, it's supposed to not smell, and it's not as bad as Gamsol or something, but I still actually don't like the smell. It's made from the peels and things of citrus fruit and the whatever it is in there. Okay, so you can see quite nicely how that's done, and I want to show you the back, that it's not really particularly wet. All right, so we've done the leaves, and now we just have to do the mouse and the lights and the post box and a bit of background. So I'll do a bit more of that just now. I need to get ready to go and teach.